If it were as advertised, it would be nutrient-dense, autoimmune fighting, anti-inflammatory product with an omega ratio somewhere in the ballpark of the optimal 1.4 to 2.1 that should be recommended for all people with all goals under all conditions, including all maladies, possibly given antibiotics and with a suboptimal and very inflammatory omega-6 ratio. It should not even be recommended for human consumption. That wasn't good enough. So he started selling drugs, but not just selling them, making them out of his apartment. He thought he was Walter White in Breaking Bad, this So he started being a drug dealer running around town selling kids drugs.
All right, guys, so we have yet another alpha male to talk about on the channel today. And honestly, with what we're going to go over in this video, way worse than Ashtanul. Not only has Liver King mismarketed his products on his website, including his best-selling product, which is protein powder, but we're gonna get into his backstory and also how he's low-key poisoning people with his supplements. And when I say poisoning, I'm talking about the ingredients in these supplements are deemed to not be consumed by humans, bro. No human consumption for these ingredients, bro. It's bad. All right, so with that being said, we're reacting to John Bravo's video he did on this. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to watch the original video. But with that being said, let's get right into this.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I fucked up. Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied. And I misled a lot of people.
And when he says misled, he's not talking about just, oh, I was on steroids the entire time. I lied to you guys, I'm sorry. I lied about being on steroids for the sake of having people go buy his supplements, which made him money.
So we all know the story, how Derek from More Plates, More Dates did a great job in exposing this lying about his steroid use, and he showed us all the emails. Well, always, I always believe, you catch a liar lying once, he's gonna lie a second time, a third time. I had many girlfriends that did this same kind of shit.
Yeah, that's very true. I had an uncle tell me once, don't ever trust an addict, as in like a drug addict, because they're always gonna go back to whatever drug that stimulates them. Never trust an addict, never trust a liar, and don't trust people usually that have these like criminal backgrounds or are just known for doing bad things, because chances are they're gonna do it again.
And Liver King is no different. 16 years old, he worked at GNC, right? And you know what he did? He took the bottles that people returned, he made up new receipts, and he returned them to another GNC store and kept the fucking money.
So my first job was at GNC. People would return stuff all the time, and they would return it pretty much empty. And I still had to give them their money back. So why don't I just take all the empty things? Then I could go to another GNC, and maybe I could get money for them.
So this guy would get bottles returned, make up a receipt, and then go return it to another GNC, and he would get money off of that. I've never heard of that before. That is actually, I genuinely have never heard of that before. That's crazy.
That wasn't good enough. So he started selling drugs, but not just selling them, making them out of his apartment. He thought he was Walter White in Breaking Bad, this So he started being a drug dealer running around town selling kids drugs.
I also made drugs because I knew how to turn my apartment into a fucking chemistry lab. International drug trading,
Okay, so if getting returned pill bottles or just bottles of supplements, having to give the people their money back, creating receipts, selling them to other GNCs, keeping the money, if that wasn't bad enough, why don't I just become a drug dealer? You feel me? Like, hey, not even become a drug dealer. Why don't I just become Walter White and make drugs in my apartment? Because you know what can go wrong with that? That is a perfect sustainable cash flow. Like, come on. This is the 2025 gold rush. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is where the money's at. Right here. Also, another thing, why does he just admit this on like a podcast? Because I might be wrong, but I swear that was Joe Rogan laughing in the background.
Fucking chemistry lab.
Oh yeah, back in the day, dude, like I was literally Walter White, bro. Like my apartment, chemistry lab, I was making drugs, I was selling them. I was deep in the cut. I was in the trenches, bro. I had to make the drugs.
But wait, it gets better. There's one fucking crime you don't want to do in the United States. It's actually worse of a penalty than killing someone. And that's counterfeiting currency, making fake money. And that's what this admitted that he did.
I used to print money, a lot of it, and it all worked.
He did it anyway, not caring that he could end up in prison for the rest of his life. Well, now I'm going to tell you a little story that wasn't in the documentary, how he first started, how he first became a millionaire, because he was a millionaire already before all of this. And it wasn't from the counterfeiting money and the drugs and all the other bullshit he was doing. You know what it was? He was in the medical sales industry, one of the top salesmen in the country, right? But it wasn't because he was being a good little guy, going to the doctor's office saying, buy this, buy that. No. He was taking those medical devices and dumping them in the bottom of the fucking lake, taking credit for sales that never actually fucking happened. So of course he's going to be the #1 sales guy.
Okay, so now he's taking medical devices and throwing them in the bottom of the lake and calling it sales. I've never heard of a phantom salesman throwing away devices or destroying them and then taking credit for sales. I've never heard of that either. What the f?
And you guys know how I know this? I'm going to tell you a little bit more here, but he used to brag about this shit to every person that worked for his fucking company because he was proud of it.
If it wasn't bad enough, he also just had to brag about it. Medical devices, I'm the #1 salesman. How I did it, I took the medical devices, I dumped them in a lake.
And the things that I continued to do, they got bigger. Some of these, unbelievable. You won't believe it.
Now, all these things, like all these stories, what does that tell you about a person that's willing to lie, that's willing to steal, that's willing to scam, even feed his own family those balls raw, teaching it to people, not caring who gets sick, right? Just to make money? You're capable of a lot worse. And now this is where this story gets really interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm jacked. Like all this muscle, like all this muscle, yeah, I got this muscle because I eat cow testicles. If you don't eat cow testicles, you'll never get like me.
His supplement company has made him not just a millionaire, right? But made him nearly a billionaire. He's worth between $700 and $800 million, which is near a billionaire, right? Well, how does he sell all those supplements? He advertises them as using some of the best sources of ingredients on the entire planet. So when people are purchasing these products, they think they're getting the best things in the entire world. His protein powder, which takes up about 70% of his sales of his company, so his #1 selling product is protein powder. And it's, again, he says it's sourced from the best materials, ingredients on earth, right? Well, he says this is grass-fed, grass-raised, no antibiotics, and all of it comes from Sweden. That's what makes it so great, right? It's the filet mignon of the protein sources.
Okay, so keep this in mind. It's grass-fed, grass-finished, Sweden-sourced, 99.9% animal-based, and is third-party tested. So just keep those in mind.
Now, what if I told you, and you guys know, I'm gonna show you how I know all this stuff, right? What if I told you none of it is from fucking Sweden? Not even 0.111% is actually from there. So the place and the #1 selling point of that product, telling people it's from Sweden because of how great this shit is, it's not even from there. It's from cheap places in the world so he can make the most money.
All right, so you buy this premium sourced protein powder from Sweden. Not from Sweden, it's from some other cheap part of the world. You get charged a premium price for something that was probably manufactured for maybe like $20. Probably costs like $20 to make, maybe even less than that. And they mark up the price to a premium price and then say it's premium. They charge you a bunch of fucking money for it. And there's a lot of businesses that do this. Now, that doesn't mean that all businesses lie about their ingredients. In this case, it's straight up lying about the ingredient, right? So that's false advertising, false marketing. Listen, it's one thing to have cheap ingredients. It's another thing to have ingredients that are considered not fit for human consumption, which these ingredients apparently are not fit for human consumption.
And scam his audience, not caring about their health and the dangers of what these ingredients that are actually in it could be. So people are buying this protein powder thinking they're getting some great thing, healthy thing for their body, right? But it's a piece of shit. It's like going and thinking you're buying a Mercedes, right? Because you want the best of the best. But instead, you get a Hyundai with the fucking Mercedes badge on the front. There was a lot of employees at this company, some of them at the top of the chain, working for this liver bitch company, right? And they were inquiring about what was in the ingredients because they had a suspicion that people weren't getting what they were getting. So they emailed the manufacturer and they found out what was in it. And when they found out, they started digging further and emailing other people at the company, sharing conversations on WhatsApp, and then they would take screenshots of all this stuff and start sending it to all the people that work there. But now, before I show you this, it's just so you know, all those employees who were digging, they were let go and fired from the company because they knew too much.
Okay, so the employees realized, hey, wait a minute, something's up. I don't think these ingredients are premium and there's something wrong with these ingredients because I don't think that people buying this shit are getting what they paid for. So let's look into this. And they start doing damage control. They say, hey, you look into this, you get the boot. Go. Shoo, get out. All right, so now we're going to get on to not fit for human consumption ingredients. We're going to see what's so dangerous about this protein powder and why you shouldn't fucking eat it.
So it started by that curious employee. Remember I told you he was curious as something was going on, right? So he emailed the manufacturer asking, what's in this shit protein? I want to know what's in this shit. So he got back the ingredient list and he noticed none of it is from Sweden and some of it can cause dangers to human beings if they fucking eat it.
Now this is the ingredient list from the manufacturer that the employee was able to get. And this is a WhatsApp conversation between a lot of the employees where they used to talk amongst each other. So in the first part here, it says the source of the protein. US origin, not Swedish. Grass-fed while weather permits, not grass-finished. Not administered hormones but antibiotics. Health and welfare of the animals is left to the individual farms and veterans. The rest of these ingredients are what is contained in his other supplements. Now this is what the employee said. My general assessment based on this information is as follows. The whole feast is a product of 9 countries with varying levels of regulatory oversight. It's not grass finished and in many cases not even grass-fed. Each scoop is a product of likely tens of thousands of cows. There would be no way to effectively test the nutrient density of the whole feast with a single scoop, as every one will be different. The law of averages would see the peptide and fat-soluble nutrient content can be negligible. The omega-6 and omega-3 ratio is going to be somewhere in this range, roughly 10 times optimal, and serves the render of the whole feast an inflammatory product. There are likely to be antibiotics and other possible administrations to the cows. As an athlete, I would not consume this product as is.
So even this guy that typed it, he's an athlete. He even said, as an athlete, I would not fucking eat. I would not consume this as it is right now. And now he goes on to talk about how he's incredibly frustrated having to charge this premium price for something that is in fact the quite opposite of premium.
I'm incredibly frustrated on a personal level. We charge premium prices for a product that is not currently premium. Further, I've spent the better part of 3 years telling the world this is premium, anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense product, and beknownst to me, it has not been as advertised. We need to do 3 things. Change the message immediately, change course and create the product we've always advertised,
create accurate packaging in order.
We need to change the packaging. We need to improve the product, make it what it's advertised, or change the actual packaging to make sure it is what they say it is.
Now, he raised these concerns to a new person who came to help run that company. His name was Rishi, right? And you know what Rishi did? He didn't say, you know, let's fix this, there must be a problem. No, he says, don't email me about it, right? And never mention this again. So this is that email that employee sent Chris Ricci. That if you take a look here, he says, we cannot drive this forward until we remedy the sourcing issue that I'll discuss below. These are areas where we're screwing up that I believe we could stifle progress and in one case, sink the ship. Sourcing that undermines everything we ever stood for. For a now undetermined period of time, we have been lying to the customer and serving them a product I would never personally consume. I had suspicions since last week, but it became evident to me this week. A single scoop of the whole feast has always been advertised as grass-fed, grass-finished product of Sweden and New Zealand for the organs. If it were as advertised, and I don't know at this point know if it would ever was, and it makes me sick to my stomach. It would be nutrient dense, autoimmune fighting, anti-inflammatory product with an omega ratio somewhere in the ballpark of the optimal 1.4 to 2.1 that should be recommended for all people with all goals under all conditions, including all maladies. Being that a single scoop is a product of 9 countries with various levels of regulatory oversight and tens of thousands of cows with 0% from Sweden and 0.4% from New Zealand, not grass finished, and in some cases not even grass fed, possibly given antibiotics and with a suboptimal and very inflammatory omega-6 ratio. It should not even be recommended for human consumption.
And there you have it. It is not fit for human consumption, and nobody should fucking consume this because the ingredients are bad.
Even if we never lied about the sourcing or advertised it as nutrient dense, no one in good conscience would believe it's okay to provide a terrible product.
Okay, and as you heard from there, I'm not gonna reread all the ingredients because he read them out already. Even in that message, they say it should not be fit for human consumption. Nobody should be drinking this.
Once he saw the email response, this is what he said. For as long as I've been in this business, I've never received an email like this. We will talk on Monday. These types of conversations are not suited for emails. And shortly after, he was let go, like I was saying, and many other employees were let go from the company because they knew too fucking much.
And after this entire incident, they said, listen, all you guys that know too much, you need to get the fuck out. Go. You get out.
So the company, with the new head, Rishi, they tried to bury the information and hide the fact that this was going on from the employees, right? And anyone that they thought would speak. They fucking got rid of them. And again, when it's shared with dozens and dozens of people, of course I'm gonna get my fucking hands on it.
So everybody that knew too much got kicked to the curb, and they tried to do damage control and try to silence all this, but it didn't work. Okay, and to wrap this video up, became Walter White, sold drugs, made fake receipts, sold these bottles to other GNCs, kept the money, printed money, sold garbage protein powder that is not fit for human consumption. Oh yeah, and lied about steroids. Don't forget that one. But with that being said, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, link to the original John Bravo video will be in the description, so if you want to watch the original video, go check that out. It's in the description. That being said, God bless. Peace.